Hi, I'm Olivia, and welcome to my e-course on sound exploration. I'm recording this on the first of the year, and it is my intention that this is going to find people that are looking for this information to self-empower themselves, to heal themselves as their own healer, rather than looking for an external source. I know you are looking for this information from me, and I am an external source, but it is to empower you to have this information to help yourself with whatever you're dealing with. I found this because I wasn't receiving what I needed from the external world, and realized that by using my own voice, I can help balance my emotional state, I can help balance my physical ailments, I can help tune in to what is happening internally that might be affecting my external reality. And this isn't just woo-woo. This is actually really scientifically based, and I'm going to share some of those facts with you, as well as some techniques that you can use in your everyday life. And I'm excited for you that you have come here and starting this journey. If you are new to sound, or if you know a little bit more about sound, I really think that you're going to benefit from this course, no matter where you are in your level of knowledge. So the first thing that I want to start off with is playing the tuning bowl. Not tuning bowl, I combined my two instruments together. Singing bowl, and these are tuning forks. If I do say something funny, look in the comments on the side. I might correct my little hiccup with words, but I do think sometimes they have some messages in them. So, my singing bowl. I'm going to play us a little meditation, and I'm going to sing with the bowl. Notice how you feel as I'm doing this. Just note it as it comes up. Have your mind observe what you are feeling. Try and not have judgment. Try and just see what you're feeling. Try and acknowledge it, and then come back into your body. What are you feeling in this moment? And then we're going to talk about why sound affects us, literally, physically, and emotionally. So first off, thank you for joining me. Let's tune into our bodies. Let's connect down with whatever physical surface you are touching. Feeling the contact with the ground that you are on. Feeling the clothes that you are wearing on your body. Paying attention to the external sounds in the environment that you're in. And focusing on your breath. Now I invite you, as I begin to sing with the bowl, to connect with your intention of what brought you to this course. What are you hoping to gain? And as you connect with that intention, notice if it's in a particular place in your body. Notice if any physical sensations come up. Notice where your mind goes. sitting with the silence for just a moment. And start to bring your attention into your body. Notice any shifts that might have changed. Maybe wiggle your toes and your fingers a little bit. Maybe shake out your arms a little bit. Roll your head a little bit. And when you're ready, if you had your eyes closed, open them. So what was happening with the interaction with my voice and the bowl is that when I went slightly above the note of the bowl or slightly below it, it acted similar to a binaural beat. And you're definitely going to want to look up binaural beats if you are interested in using sound as a tool. Now, it's basically a third tone that is created by the difference of two separate tones that are very close to one another. And why is this so powerful is because it literally entrains our brain into a certain brainwave state depending on the difference between those two notes. So for example, if you have a note that is vibrating back and forth 100 times, that is 100 hertz. Means it's going back and forth 100 times per second. Now, if you have another tone that's vibrating back and forth 110 times, the difference between the two is 10. So to put your brain into a deep state, a deep relaxed state, you are going to want to be lower than higher. So the higher the brainwave state, the more rapid, the more aha moments, the more like you're physically engaged with the world. And the lower down in the brainwave state, the more relaxed you are, the more you're able to get into that intuitive space, the more you're able to really be present. And so depending on what you're dealing with, you might want to increase your attention. For somebody that has ADHD, they might want to increase that to be able to focus rather than taking Ritalin. Or if you're somebody that has trouble sleeping, you might want to listen to a binaural beat that has a lower frequency to help you drop into a state of relaxation to be able to fall asleep. So this is a tool that you can empower yourself. That's all that I'm going to say on that right now, because we could do a whole nother class on delta, theta, alpha, beta, gamma waves. But for now, this is just an overview of sound and how it affects us. So by using my voice and the singing bowl, I'm able to use those two notes that are really close together to help drop us down into that lower vibratory state of our brainwave to be able to relax. And for some people, this is really stimulating as well. So people react differently to sound, depending on what vibration is happening to them internally. So definitely it's not something that there's like a one size fits all. We are all different beings with different needs and different experiences. So that's something to keep in mind. One size does not fit all with sound, and you might feel different one day with the same sound than you do another day. It's like you only want to listen to a certain song when you're feeling a certain way. Similar thing. So coming back to the science behind how sound holds matter together. With the singing bowl, even though it's round, it has two parallel walls from one side to the next. The distance between these two parallel walls impacts the sound. We have cavities throughout our entire bodies that has sound. It literally has a vibratory sound because the distance of the two walls between it, the two parallel walls. You find one line, go to the other side, and that's the parallel wall. Even though it's round, it's still at two parallel walls. So that is huge to know, because then we can tap into whatever it is that might not be singing its natural resonance and entrain it back into the state that it is healthy at resonating with. Or we can use the same technique to maybe break energy up that has been stuck. One of the best examples that a lot of us have seen, whether it be in person or on a video, is somebody shattering glass with their voice. So for example, a wine glass. Somebody sings the note of the wine glass, which remember is the two parallel walls from that wine glass from one side to the next. They sing that loud enough, what happens? The wine glass breaks. So we can use sound by tapping in to the frequency of specific, whether it be an organ, whether it be an emotion, whether it be a physical pain, whether it be entraining it. We'll talk a little bit about entraining the sound. You can literally change the vibration of something by giving it a consistent note, such as the tuning fork and singing bowl. I kind of like tuning bowl. Might use that. Talk a little bit more about entrainment. What do I mean by that? Basically, if you have something that is not very consistent, going, then you have another tone that's going, that consistent note is going to entrain the staticky into the consistency. So that is huge. That is so absolutely huge, because that's basically what disease is whatever organ is not functioning properly, or whatever is happening in your body emotionally. It's, I mean, not all emotions are staticky, but if you are dealing with something that is out of its natural harmonious state, you can give it a consistent tone and bring it into a resonance. It's called entrainment. And a lot of us experience this in our everyday lives. Being around somebody that's grumpy kind of makes us grumpy if we don't have a good sense of ourselves. If we spend too much time with somebody that is in a really negative state, we're going to start to feel that as well. Same thing, law of entrainment. And so by bringing that consistency back into our lives, by bringing that awareness, we can empower ourselves to come back into a state of alignment with our selves, with our bodies, with our emotions, and our overall well-being. So, what does this have to do with matter? Because that to me is the biggest implication. We just talked a little bit about how our organs have those cavities, but what is creating everything to make those cavities? What is creating everything to make those shapes? Sound. Sound literally holds everything together. Literally. Look up Cymatics. Cymatics will change your life. The first time that you see a video of Cymatics, it will literally change your life. And it's because when you look at the images, you can see, feel, and hear how sound creates reality. And it's so simple. Every single note affects matter, affects it, how it's held together and how it's being broken apart. And every single sound has a vibratory pattern in it. So literally, like if you look at a mantra with all the designs, that's what Cymatics is. It's basically a tone that creates a pattern in matter and how it's held together. Without sound, without vibration, everything would just be floating around. Nothing would be held together. There would be no you, there would be no me. Everything would just be this mush. Matter wouldn't have anything to hold it together. So everything is vibrating. This is vibrating to hold this matter together. The pillow that it's sitting on is vibrating to hold it together. Every single organ in my body is vibrating at a specific frequency to hold it together and create that shape. So that's so cool. Sound is everything. Sound is literally everything. And by acknowledging that, that is profound, to be able to realize how simple the structure of our world, our universe, our solar system, the galaxy, how it really, like, all is sound. And I hope that this excites you, and I hope that this changes your perspective on how you move through the world. Because once you start acknowledging that we have this connection to everything, you start becoming more connected to everything. And you start seeing the world and that wonder that makes you excited to find out more. And there is no finish point either. So a little tangent I went off there. I'll give you a couple other fun things that affect us before we go into some more detail about the science behind sound and how sound affects us. One being, this is so cool, the Schumann Resonance. Basically, a guy with the last name Schumann documented and recorded the seismic vibration of lightning. So lightning hitting the atmosphere, hitting the earth, that's the parallel wall. It creates a frequency that's around 7 hertz per second. And basically, it affects each and every one of us, and we ourselves would not be healthy without it. So by knowing this has helped us reach beyond where we live here to be able to exist in outer space. What do I mean by that? Basically, they were sending astronauts to outer space. They were realizing they were getting sick. And that's because they didn't have the Schumann resonance frequency, because we all need it to be healthy. So they start putting devices on them, on the astronauts, to help them stay healthy when in outer space. So it's basically feeding them that frequency to help keep everything else functioning. It's an invisible thing. None of us can hear the Schumann resonance, but we all need it. We all need it. We all need this vibratory field that is in our atmosphere created by lightning. Now it goes a little bit up and a little bit down, but it stays around 7 to 8 hertz in between that range. And that's depending on how much lightning is in our atmosphere as a whole at any given moment in time. So that's just another cool fun fact that really hits the point of how sound is affecting everybody and how we are all connected to it, and just how cool it is. It's just so cool. I've got my little notes here to keep myself on point. The next thing I want to talk about, sound passes through liquids, solids, and gases. So even though it holds matter together, it can move right through it. So my voice right now isn't just going into your ears. My voice is literally passing through every cell in your body. Sit with that a minute. Sound moves through liquids, solids, and gases. Why I think this is so important is because we need to pay attention to how we use sound, our voice in particular, what we say, what we think. If it is passing through matter, it's literally affecting matter. So a lot of us have seen this movie, and it's been coming up a lot for me lately, about What the Bleep Do We Know? And the man that put the words on water, and it literally affected the cellular structure of how the water formulated the molecules. And I mean, how more straightforward can you get? If you put love on water and then it forms these intricate, beautiful crystals, crystal-like shapes in the water. And then if you put hate on another one and it's all discombobulated and has no order, it's just something to think about, how we really need to be, in my opinion, need to be more conscious about how we use sound, and in particular, how we express ourselves to the world and treat ourselves to our own self, because we are literally affecting everything that we come in contact with. Butterfly effect. So I hope you take that to heart, and I hope this, I just hope that this inspires you to become more in tune with your power, because that's what this is all about, is giving you tools in your everyday life and knowledge to stay connected with that wonder, stay connected with the awe and beauty of this world. Another thing I want to talk about slightly, again, we can go off on a whole nother course about this, is our voices will give you a lot of information about how you are physically and the rest of your body. There is a technique where you can find out in your voice what frequencies are coming out of it. And if you have too much of one frequency, one note, you could say, mine is E. I've got a little bit too much E in my voice. Ideally, you want a good bell curve where you have a little bit of all of the notes in a scale, basically, all of the rich tones within all of the sounds within a color wheel, if you will, of sound. But if you have a little bit too much of one, that can cause some disturbances in your system and make you more prone to things. So one example of having a little bit too much E, I have to pay more attention to issues such as yeast imbalances. So being conscious about what I eat is a big part of that, but also using sound that counters that. So I will not want to play E bowls. I want to be conscious about what I sing, what songs I surround myself with, what music I listen to. That's one thing to pay attention to. If you ever want to really get into sound and really figure out what your voice makeup is, and find out if you have a little bit too much of something, surrounding yourself with the balance of it. So the opposite side of E is A on the color wheel. It's kind of like the opposite side of purple is yellow on the color wheel. So you can similarly do that. So I would have a little bit too much purple in me. I need to wear a little bit more yellow. Got a little bit of yellow on my pants today, not too much. So yeah, that's just one example of how sound affects you in your own voice, and how you can really, if you want to nerd out and learn more about that, definitely would recommend that, because it is absolutely fascinating. So if you also want to learn more about other things that are happening scientifically, there's a ton of research out there actually related to cancer. And I think it's really important to get this information out there and for it not to be silenced, because I think this is going to be a huge part of moving forward in our medical field, is to embrace stuff like this. Again, coming back to that wine glass, coming back to it shattering. We have been using sound technology to basically do this to cancer cells. And that's all I'm going to say. Just another fun fact for maybe you to go out and research more. But basically taking the cancer cell, playing the frequency, remember finding those two parallel walls, playing that frequency to such a degree that it basically explodes. And you don't have to go in and do invasive surgery. Super cool. Super, super, super cool. I hope this is exciting you, because it is for me. Coming back to physical shapes, how it creates sound and coming back into the physical structures that we create. This is super cool. So somebody that wants to work with sound but is a carpenter, how's a carpenter going to work with sound? Are they going to, you know, that is something that's a lot of people don't even consider. Like, how would somebody that's a builder work with sound? But you can actually affect the environment of a building and how you feel in it by using mathematical relationships to other dimensions in the building that will affect it to be more harmonious. So a lot of us have experienced this when we walk into an old, beautiful cathedral and we're just like immediately melted by the experience of being in such a gorgeous structure. And it's because a lot of those old cathedrals used sacred geometry. It's basically using dimensions that relate to other dimensions in the building that create harmony with each other. So it's the distance between those two parallel walls, maybe the distance between the ceiling and the ground, and maybe the distance between each of the windows that are placed within the structure. This all creates a harmony within the structure itself that then affects you when you walk into it. So again, sound can be so many different things. It doesn't have to just be what we hear. It can be things that we create physically that technically we're not hearing, but it's still sound. Again, another example of this and how it's sound and geometry and physical space are all related to one another. Has anybody seen the Fibonacci sequence, the Leonardo, that was a good one, Leonardo da Vinci man with the sections of the body laid out? And it's basically describing that relationship of harmonizing different sections of the body as it grows. So if you take a section of the body, the hand, you double it, you get to the next section of the body. You double it, you get to the next section. So everything is growing off of one another. And you can use this in sound to make something more enjoyable or relaxing to the body. The more harmonious something is, the more relaxing it's going to be. The more dissonant, which basically means what we would call off key, the more it's going to move energy and break it up. So for example, if somebody feels really stuck and they want to get through something, maybe something more dissonant would be more beneficial to them than for somebody that was experiencing anxiety and they need something to really calm them down. So knowing and identifying what you're dealing with, what your intention is, that is hugely important, I think, with whatever you're working with. Identify what your intention is. Then you'll be able to get to what you're actually wanting to accomplish. So coming to that intention and then figuring out what it is that intention needs in order to grow, in order to move, in order to get to where you want to go. So again, if we use the analogy of somebody that is having trouble sleeping, using a binaural beat to drop you into a theta state, that will help relax the mind, that intention. I want to sleep. All right, what's going to help you sleep? You need to drop your brainwave state. All right, we're going to listen to a binaural beat to help entrain my brain to be able to fall into sleep. So first, connecting with what it is we want. First time I asked myself that through my journey, I actually started to cry because I didn't really know what I wanted. And acknowledging that I was looking for things externally, I was able to then look at myself and be like, all right, what do I need? What do I need? What do I need? What is it that I want? And we all need something. And it's okay to need. It is okay to need. It is part of our human experience, and to need one another too. It is definitely something, I think, that Unfortunately, our culture has projected it's not a good thing that, oh, you're being needy. Yeah, I'm being needy. This is what I need. Like, acknowledging that, and acknowledging, again, using your voice to say what you need. People, not everybody, can read your mind, and expressing what you need is a huge part of this. So first, being able to identify it. What's your intention? Then being able to voice it. Then being able to draw in what it is that's going to help you with that intention to get to where you want to go. That was a little tangent. Okay, now that we've talked a little bit about the science behind sound, let's move into some techniques that you can use yourself. Of course, you can buy a singing bowl, or you can buy tuning forks. I'll talk a little bit more about these at the end, and give you some information in case you want to purchase them yourself to add to your toolbox. But really, you already have the #1 tool for sound, your voice. And one of the things that makes your voice so powerful, and really a healing tool in particular for yourself, is because it is in the channel of a nerve that controls our parasympathetic nervous system. It's called our vagus nerve, and it runs from your brain down to every single organ in your body. It regulates your heart, it regulates your breathing, it connects to your digestive organs, it connects to your reproductive system, and holds you basically like a bowl. This technique is ancient, 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 ancient. And to think of yourself being supported as a bowl while you're doing this technique, I think really enhances the benefits of it. And it's basically just humming. You can make any sound that comes out as long as it's consistent. Remember that consistency, law of entrainment. You want to entrain whatever it is you are dealing with back into a state of balance. And the interesting thing about entrainment is, for example, this is resonating at a particular frequency, but by using the law of entrainment for something that is staticky and out of its natural resonance, by using the law of entrainment, it will entrain whatever it is that is staticky back into its own resonance. So it doesn't necessarily have to be that particular tone in order to entrain it back into its own state of resonance. It's just the consistency is what matters. So it doesn't really matter what you sound like. You don't have to be on a perfect note. It's not what this is about whatsoever. It doesn't matter what you sound like. In fact, I oftentimes sound like a dying chicken when I'm doing a lot of my meditations, because it's what gets things moving in order to then entrain it into resonance. So I invite you, let's all do it together. Taking a big deep breath in and let it out. Really connecting with where you are sitting, feeling the ground that you are sitting on, or whatever seat you are making contact with, feeling it support you, feeling that vagus nerve wrapping up, holding you like a bowl. Taking another deep breath in. And when you are ready, releasing it into a consistent sound. Another deep breath in. And lastly, one deep breath in. moment to see how you feel. I definitely feel a little bit more calm. I'm so excited to share this information, but again, it's good to keep myself grounded so that I can get my message across. So simple. What? That took us like a minute. Connecting with where you are physically, feeling that contact with the ground, and humming a consistent tone calms your parasympathetic nervous system. So simple. I realized this was what I was dealing with, and this is what brought me to sound, is that I had an overactive vagus nerve. Now, a lot of us are familiar with this by people that faint when they see the sight of blood. That is an overactive vagus nerve. And as you can imagine, with all of the things that it's connected with, it can wreak havoc when it's out of balance, either when it's overactive or underactive. And humming will help bring it back into a balance, no matter where it is out of balance. So if it's overstimulated or understimulated, humming is going to help your parasympathetic nervous system. I feel better. This is a technique that actually autistic beings, not just kids, but oftentimes as kids they're told not to do it because it's not socially acceptable in our culture. They will just start humming or just start singing one tone, and this is a coping mechanism that they've tapped into. It is really, 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 really helpful when there are external noises that are bothering. So for somebody that is autistic, oftentimes external noises are really stimulating and it's hard for them to navigate. And so they will start humming to bring themselves back into their body to be able to exist and function. And one of the things that you can use this with, for example, is if you're walking down the street and there's a fire truck passing by, you can't move physically away from that large amount of noise, but you can use this same technique to be able to cope with your external environment, to tap into yourself internally. So when there's an annoying sound, you can literally hum a tone that will help you cope with that annoying sound. And if there's a large siren going down the street and nobody can hear you anyways because of the large siren, go ahead and hum. It's awesome. That is a little bit something more I want to talk about, is that unfortunately it is not socially acceptable to make noise, to sing randomly, to, if you're not a good singer, to not be able to sing. I think that's a shame. I think that we all have a birthright to sing. We all have a birthright to express ourselves vocally. And when we're told that it's only up to the select few, I feel like that is a huge part of what is missing culturally for the richness of our lives. And, you know, oftentimes we only allow ourselves to sing in the shower, in the car, if that. But that is a great place to start. In the shower, that is where you are going to be able to connect most with that law of resonance that I was talking about, those two parallel walls. So if you have experienced this in the shower where you hit that sweet spot, that note that just gets amplified, you're not singing any louder, you're just singing that particular note in your shower and it just sounds amazing. Well, you have actually found that note in between those two parallel walls that is the resonance of that cavity, that room, that shower that you are in. You can find this with any room. You basically just go, ooh, and you see, you hear, you feel where the sound gets amplified in that range, and that is the resonance of the room that you are in. So pretty cool. Play around with it. Showers are definitely the best place to do those in. and super fun as well. So lastly, I do want to share with you what tuning forks are. So tuning forks were originally created to tune instruments, basically because you have a consistent tone. Can't hear it too much with the audio that I have right now, but you guys are still definitely experiencing the benefits of this right now. There is research being done with tuning forks from a distance that affect us on our electromagnetic fields. Eileen McCusick, probably pronouncing her name wrong, is the leading researcher on this, and I highly recommend you looking at her work if you want to learn more about that. But tuning forks basically are a pure tone. So the singing bowl has a lot of notes in it. You're not getting a pure tone. You're getting about a note, but it oscillates up and down quite a bit. A tuning fork is going to be much more pure. So it's going to be much more powerful with the law of entrainment because of the consistency. So super cool. Nobody needs a license to use these. Basically, all you have to do is make sure you're not holding this part because that's going to silence it. You're going to want to hold that part, and you want to get it activated up here until it vibrates. And some people just like to use it externally around themselves in their electromagnetic field, or I really like placing them on the body because bone conducts sound. And when you place it in areas where you have contact with bone, you can literally hear it in your body. It resonates. That's how Beethoven heard sound, is he put a reed in his mouth, bit down on it, and put the reed onto the piano so he literally could hear the sound of the piano conducting through his bones. Super cool. So you can really feel these when you place it on bones in your body. And the two that I am using right now, the difference between them is quite close. So it creates a binaural beat itself that drops me down into a lower vibratory state. Very calming effect. This particular set was bought by Randy Masters at Sonic Spring Life, I believe. I'll put it in the comments if you're interested in purchasing from him. He has been doing a lot of research on sounds that are found at sacred sites. 111 being one of them. That's what this tuning fork is. And how particular frequencies tend to be found consistently through sacred sites throughout the world. I'll leave it at that. If you want to research more about that, definitely consistency of frequencies that are found around pyramids. And as we just talked about with structures of, walking into a building and feeling that sacred geometry, you are literally creating a vibratory field with the structures that we create. So being conscious about it, being conscious about our thoughts, being conscious about our words, being conscious about how things affect us and what we need. That's all what this is about. It has been an honor and a joy to walk this path with you. Thank you for joining me. I hope that there was many little nuggets that sparked your interest, attention, wonder, joy. And if you want to learn more about this, I definitely am going to continue to make more detailed courses for you to explore sound. So I hope to see you again, and I hope you have a beautiful day, and happy New Year to all of you.